Today, we are diving into a really fascinating and, honestly, a pretty counterintuitive idea from the spiritual classic, The Dark Night of the Soul. It's a paradox, really. It suggests that the very things we often seek out in life, pleasure, beauty, joy, could actually be, believe it or not, a problem for your spiritual life.
I mean, it sounds kind of crazy, right? How could enjoying a beautiful sunset, or a delicious meal, or a fantastic piece of music possibly be a bad thing? Well, according to the philosophy we're exploring today, the answer isn't a simple yes or no. Turns out, it's all about how we experience that joy.
Okay, so here's our game plan. First, we're going to define what these sensory goods even are. Then, we'll look at the two very different directions our joy can go. We'll even walk through a practical test for your own soul, explore the dangers of getting stuck on one path, and finally, uncover what the real goal of all this is. All right, first things first, let's get our terms straight. What exactly are we talking about when we use this phrase, sensory goods? So, sensory goods. It's basically anything and everything you can perceive with your five senses. But, and here's the kicker, the definition from the text adds another crucial layer, our interior faculty of imagination. So not just talking about what's physically out there, but also the memories and daydreams we create inside our own minds. So yeah, this covers the whole shebang of our sensory life. We're talking about the beauty you see, the music you hear, but it also includes things like daydreaming about a vacation or just fondly remembering a really good meal. It all falls under this one big umbrella. Okay, so we've got these sensory goods all around us. And the key idea here is that whenever we experience one, our will, our desire basically, comes to this critical fork in the road. And this slide really breaks down those two paths. On one hand, you have the option of just stopping with the joy. This is when your will kind of pauses to just soak in the delight of the object itself. It gets stuck there. But on the other hand, you have the option of elevating the joy. Here, your will immediately lifts itself up to God, moved by that same delight, and uses the experience as a pathway. The joy moves through the object.
And this is so important to get right. This philosophy isn't about rejecting pleasure or avoiding beautiful things. Not at all. The problem isn't the experience itself. The real question is, where does your joy stop? Does it end at the object, or does it flow through it towards something more?
Now, I know this might all sound pretty abstract, like how are you supposed to know which path your own soul is taking? Well, luckily, the author gives us a very practical way to figure this out. Let's take a look at this simple test.
Okay, here's how you can actually try this for yourself. The next time you experience something delightful, say that first sip of coffee in the morning, just pause, observe where your mind goes, what your will is drawn to. Then you ask yourself this key question. Is the satisfaction I get from the thought of God, which was prompted by this coffee, greater than the satisfaction from the coffee itself? If the answer is yes, then hey, you're on the right track. Your senses are serving your spirit. And believe me, this isn't just some philosophical thought experiment. The idea is that habitually getting stuck in sensory joy has real, tangible, and pretty negative consequences for your spiritual well-being. And the author does not mince words on this. He dedicates a whole chapter to what he calls the harm incurred by this misdirected joy. You don't have to read all of this text. The point is just to see the sheer volume. He details this whole cascade of negative effects that he believes all stem from this one single issue. So this slide kind of visualizes those specific harms. The underlying idea is that when our joy gets stuck on a particular sense, it throws our desires out of whack. So lingering too much on beautiful sights can feed vanity. Fixating on sounds, well, that can lead to gossip. Overindulging in tastes can lead straight to gluttony. It's like when the spirit isn't the final destination, all these other appetites just get to run wild.
So what's the end game here? If we're supposed to purge this joy, what are we purging it for? This brings us to the ultimate goal of this whole spiritual practice.
This quote really gets right to the heart of it. The whole purpose isn't to destroy joy, it's to transform it. It's about reorienting our pleasure so that it becomes useful, profitable, and perfect. It's about making every single delight a step toward a higher spiritual reality rather than a distraction from it.
Ultimately, the idea is to see the entire world of our sensory experiences as a bridge. A beautiful sunset, a moving piece of music. These things aren't meant to be destinations where our joy just sets up camp. They're signposts designed to carry our awareness from the created world to the divine source of all that beauty.
And that really leaves us with a challenge to our everyday perception, doesn't it? How can we train ourselves to see the world differently?
to experience its countless delights, not just as ends in themselves, but as invitations, as a path leading our joy towards something way more profound and lasting.